Welcome back, Tribe. I have an episode here from the Happy Wife School. I recognize this lady. I've covered her videos before, but I just forgot it was called the Happy Wife School. She's always had fire content, and I need to cover more of it. But this one's why men need sex. Let's get into it.
Feels loved and respected. Your husband is not a woman. He is a man. And sex is incredibly important to a man, and it's where we miss each other and just go totally different ways as husband and wives. But if you ask a good man what are the top 3 things that are most important to him
Sex.
in a marriage and in a relationship, sex is going to be number 1, if not number 1, 2, or 3. If you ask a woman, what are your top 10 most important things to you in a marriage or a relationship? Sex might not even make the list. It might be like number 8, 9, or 10, maybe. So we have to understand it as women that sex is incredibly important to men, and we know that. That's why we use sex as a weapon, and we use sex to manipulate and control, and we all know how we do that and have done that. And what happens is that we begin to treat our husbands like Neanderthals.
Well, that is because women have realized that they are the sex dealer and men are the drug addicts. That's the only reason for that why women can control you. You're letting the woman control you. She knows your weakness. So when she knows your weakness, she's going to judge you for it. And by doing that, of course, she's going to use every ammo in her gun to her advantage. Because you haven't overcome your own weakness. Let's continue.
And that there's something wrong with them. That sex is so important to them. And we want...
That's when you find out she doesn't really love you, because the only women that will weaponize sex against you like that were using you in a transactional fashion from the get-go. If she ever tells you things like, what's wrong with you? All you think about, that's all you want to do. You're being shamed because in her eyes, it was always transactional. She was never attracted to you. That's a brutal, honest truth. You were not her first choice. She didn't find you attractive, but you're the safe bet. You have a stable job. You're a good guy. She can manipulate you because you're kind of dumb and you don't know much about women. And the moment she spreads her legs, all the problems go away for you. And you're willing to wash away all her sins from the relationship as soon as she gives it up. Then when she closes her legs again until you start to get that itch, and then there starts to be problems in a relationship, and boom, she spreads her legs again to shut you up, and boom, you're in that cycle of maintenance sex. Just enough to keep the relationship going, but not enough that you're satisfied. And you'll never be in that kind of relationship because she hates every single second that she has to give up her body to you because she doesn't find you attractive. She just finds you useful.
Want to change them and make them...
I gotta just pause it again for a little bit of context here. I understand what he's saying, and the reason why he's saying that is because these people that think that, oh, when you're married and you love someone, it's sex. Sex means you love someone. They're in the fallen state. They're being driven by their desire, their sinful ways. Their thoughts are useless. And their mind are in the dark. So I totally understand. I totally get it. And if you marry someone and you're going to base the marriage off sex, that the marriage was for the wrong reason in the first place. But let's continue.
So wrong for just who they are as a man. But you have to understand when you chose to get married and you made vows and you made a commitment to your husband, you took on the role and responsibility to have sex in your marriage and enjoy it as a part of a healthy relationship. Women need to understand, and this would, well, let me finish that thought. Women need to understand that sex is not an option, and it is not something that is inconsequential. Sex is part of a healthy relationship and marriage. And
just have to pause it again real quick, because she said when you marry a man, you need to give him sex, because that's part of the deal. When you marry someone, you need to fulfill that part of your deal. I kind of disagree because guess what? When you marry someone, yes, it's to have kids. It's for a family. That means, of course, you're gonna have sex to have family. But if you consistently just lust after your wife in a marriage, and you consistently need sex all the time, you still haven't overcome that the sex desire spirit that's inside of you. You're still being led by that spirit, and that's why most relationship doesn't work, because you want this from her, she's not going to give it to you. She knows that your weakness, she's going to use it against you, right? Which is crazy. Both of them are in the relationship for the wrong reason. I don't know why that woman would be in a relationship if it's just what he can provide for her, and she's just using her body to take advantage of him because he can't see, he's in the dark. He doesn't understand that he's in the falling state. I need to overcome that spirit and work on yourself, right? Let's continue.
And this is one of the things I've been reflecting on, because when my husband and I got engaged, I had already started withdrawing and putting a wall up around sex when in the beginning of our relationship and dating and leading up to us getting married, we had a very healthy, enjoyable sex.
Oh, just to stop it again, I missed this point. I mean, in a relationship, when you put God first and you're serving God, and it doesn't matter if the woman is there or not, because you're not relying on her for her love or anything, because women, they don't really know what love is, honestly, right? So you, the man, actually get lost from God when you truly understand who you are, and you'll be able to connect with God, and you have that love and that peace in you. You'll be able to pass it down to the woman. The woman can pass it on to the kids in a peaceful and loving way. But only that, you see, you're not you if the woman stays, you don't care. If she goes, you don't care. And know the funniest thing? That is gonna make her even more attracted to you. And she's when you let's say you wanna have sex, she will wanna have sex because she value that and know that if she stay or if she goes, it does not matter. And when that comes into play, women will stick around because they want what they can't have. It's so interesting. But she also need to be working on herself to be closer to God. Just so you know that you can't help her get there. She's the only person that can do it for herself, and that's it. You can try as much as you want, you will never be able to change her. Neither the woman can change the man.
Sex life, and then I threw my walls up, and that's very, very common for us as women. And it was a really, really big challenge in just my early 30s, which is so sad to me now. And I had to learn an important part of my healing in my marriage, and through this decade of my 30s. In the beginning was overcoming the walls I had built around sex in my marriage, and recognizing that I couldn't have sex with my husband as a duty or a chore or an obligation. When we have sex from a place of obligation or as a chore, we feel used, we feel resentful, if we're doing what we're supposed to do. That's actually a wonderful example of being nice.
She was already resentful to her husband off rip. She was already judging him from what I'm hearing. She was judging him, and by judging him, she got some type of feelings. And when you have feelings, you get actions. After you get the thoughts, you judge him with the thoughts. Then you get the feeling, then you do the action. So now you're starting resenting him because it's not what she initially visioned her marriage to be like, or it's not what she thought her husband would be like. So now both of them in the relationship put up boundaries, and they're fighting each other to get, if he wants sex, he's fighting her to get sex from her. If she wants something from him, she would use the sex to get something from him. So it started off so rocky and in the wrong way, so I totally understand.
Is doing sex to check the box and say done. Maybe I bought myself a week or two, and then shutting down.
See
That's
what I'm
not
saying?
okay
See what I'm saying?
in a marriage. It's not. It's a cruel, cruel way to treat your husband, who is a man, in which this is very important to him. So ladies, let me make it very, very clear. You cannot have a healthy marriage. You cannot have a healthy relationship if you are not having sex with your husband, or you are shut down to sex and doing it as an obligation and a chore. It's not okay. And you can't have a healthy relationship or a healthy marriage from that place. We all know sex is part of a healthy relationship.
And just
That's kind of crazy though. You yourself already have to be healthy, and the woman already has to be healthy. So when you come in the relationship, everything will just fall into place and happen naturally. You won't have to. You don't have to. You have gotten rid of that evil spirit that is within you, because society have sexualized everything, and the thoughts is what give you these sexual urges, and you can't control it no matter how hard you try. And that's why you need the lust and everything. It is still controlling you if you're in a relationship, and every time you lust after your wife and you want sex, how is your relationship going to last when that's what you base the relationship off of? So if she stopped having sex with you, the relationship is over. It's broken, because that's what initially the relationship start off on. You don't really know who the woman is, or she doesn't really know who you are.
destroys the man's confidence. It's like, you don't find me attractive, you don't like me, you don't want to be with me, you don't even want me to touch you, what's wrong, blah, blah, blah. And this is how men start to, look for it somewhere else. They will begin to stray. And it does happen. And a lot of men will tell you why, because their wives aren't giving it up anymore, especially after they put on the ring. This is how guys recognize, like, they've been getting played from the very beginning, and they were never the choice, but they were the safe option. The moment you put a ring on, it dries up completely. Like, you signed all your rights away, and boom, she doesn't have to keep up the facade of pretending to like you. But you're her bailout option. Women do that, man. It's so fucked to say. But a woman will go through her entire life making mistakes, having no consequences for them, and will have a guy in the back pocket orbiting around that she'll just latch onto when, it's endgame. And she's like, fuck, guy. The guy I really liked, well, he's moved on and got married, and this other dude that was pretty good, well, he's also moved on, or he's too much of an asshole, he's not settling down. Well, we got nice guy Ted over here, and, he's been chasing me constantly for like a decade now, and, whatever. Fine. Let's go on a date. She's
gonna give Ted a chance, and Ted is gonna make her feel good, because initially how they start off in a relationship, her and her husband make her feel good, she make her husband feel good. Now they judge each other, and they have an idea in their head like, oh, this could work. I see what our future or our marriage could look like. And guess what? That's a thought. You went into thoughts, and the thoughts set you up to have a pre-motion of what your life could be. And guess what? When you marry now, before I even go there, she make him feel good, he make her feel good, and they go off that feeling. Because the thought comes when you have all of these imagination, preconception of what it could be. Then you go off the feeling and do the action, and the thoughts lead you up to this exactly consequences, because he's gonna stop making her feel some type of way, she stop making him feel some type of way. Now they're both are gonna fight in the marriage to get what they both want, because they didn't know who she was, she didn't know who he was, he didn't know who she was. They just have an idea, and that's how you got set up, because you went off feeling, you didn't even get to know who she really was, right? So it's just interesting when they talk about, oh, you need sex for the man. You don't need sex for it to work, because if you already healed yourself and you're walking with God and all of these things, he will take all of the anxiety, the depression, the sexual demon, the sexual spirit, the lustful thinking, all of these things will be taken away from you, anxiety. You won't have none of those things, right? So it's just interesting. And I get it. Most people are in the fallen state. They're not working on themselves. So I understand where they are coming from, because I was there myself, right? But you have to be aware. You have to work in yourself and see exactly really what's going on. You're not, the Bible says you're fighting against principalities and spiritualities and all these evil things, but you're not fighting physically, it's spiritually.
Love bomb you. She's gonna throw it up, spread her legs, better acrobatics, and it make you feel like the man. Finally, you got the woman of your dreams. And then the ring goes on, and then you're like, oh shit, what happened, dude? Like, this is a completely different person now.
Exactly.
It's nuts. It's nuts because a lot of men are super inexperienced with women. This is why this happens. The average man is super inexperienced with women. You don't learn this stuff. You don't see raw attraction until you've met enough women. You've been with enough women to see what it looks like when they really want you. Versus they're just doing it out of maintenance for the relationship or the facade they've put up. Dude, it's so insane.
And here,
See? It's how they make you feel and how she makes you feel. But guess what? It doesn't matter how many women you've been with or how many women you have not been with. You can see it coming from a mile away when you work on yourself, because you will see it and you will not want to deal with it because it's going to be a waste of your time. You're not judging her. You just understand she needs to work on herself. Or if the woman sees, she's going to be like, the guy needs to work on himself. It's going to be a waste of time, because if you go and try and change that person, how are you going to change that person? How? You yourself couldn't even change yourself. You can't even save yourself or change yourself. So how are you going to help someone to change themselves? And when you understand exactly what I'm talking about, you will be able to see it clear as daylight, because God will shine a light on it for you. And you'll be like, I'm good. I don't want to deal with this. It's interesting. So it doesn't matter how many women you've been with, how attractive she is, or if she wants you, because she can want you. Because guess what? You have money. You have the nice cars. She's going to play you. She's going to make you feel good again. And she's going to play you. And because you're blind, you're in the dark, you're not watching the thoughts that are manipulating and giving you all these ideas. She'll be able to use your feelings against you. And when you go into a relationship, you're wondering, oh, why am I losing off of my stuff? That's the reason why. Because she emotionally manipulates you.
there's something that is very important, ladies. We all enjoy sex. If you remember when you met your husband, or before you met your husband, and you were dating and having different relationships with men, we couldn't wait. We couldn't wait to get together and meet up for a date and know where that was going to lead. And we can reflect back to the beginning of our relationship, before we got engaged, before we got married, and we were in the newness.
I remember how she said there a few seconds back. She said, before you met your husband. This is what I'm telling you guys. It happens even before me. You get placed in this transactional box in seconds that she looks you up and down and says, I don't really like you physically. You're not attractive. I can tolerate you, but you make good money. You have other things that make you good for a long-term partner. And that's how these guys end up being like, I'm waking up 30 years later. My kids are not my kids. Like, she cheated on me. That shit's insane.
We loved and enjoy having sex.
Duh.
We begin to put our walls up, and I'm not going to get too much into that, but I do want you all to know, trigger warning, we're going to be talking, or I'm going to be talking a lot more about our relationship with sex as women and the importance of it in a marriage, and how to overcome the walls that we have built around it, and how to overcome the withholding of sex that we have put into place in our marriage. And I'm also going to be talking about how everything we've been taught by the experts about sex is wrong. That we are not ovens that need to be warmed up first. That's another video for another time. But it's really, really important. We have been fed so many lies and so many myths and so much misinformation about sex as women. And I'm excited to share my journey, because it's been a huge journey. And wonderful journey in my marriage. One of the things I'm most proud of, and my husband is most appreciative of, that I have healed and overcome in myself. And I'm excited to be sharing that. So we're going to be talking more about that on the channel. But that's the number 2 thing. Your husband really wish you knew that sex is how he feels loved and respected, and that it's not an option in marriage, that when we made those vows, that's the commitment we made. It's part of a healthy relationship. And when, as women, we can reconnect with the fact that we enjoy sex too, then it's something we do for ourselves and enjoy for ourselves, that we get the benefit of it and our husbands get the benefit of it. But a key piece is we really do have to remember that we enjoy it, and not have sex for our husbands as something to check off the list just because it's important to them. They can feel that. We have to learn to be there and be engaged and enjoy it for ourselves, which is all our husbands want. And then we don't have the resentment or feeling used or feeling that that's all we're good for or that's what we're supposed to do. We can be in it for ourselves and our husbands get the benefit, and you can have a healthy sex life in your marriage, which is a key important piece to being a good wife.
Just to pause a little bit, having sex with if she's gonna have sex with her husband, it doesn't mean she loves her husband. That's not love. Sex is definitely not love. And she said, "Oh, if in the relationship you end up putting up wall and resenting him." She didn't say why she ended up resenting her husband. It's because it's not what she thought the relationship would be. She was in thoughts, listening to the devil, the evil spirit that's inside of her. She judged him. And by judging her, she's playing God. And because she's playing God, now she get these bad feelings or good feeling, whatever feeling she gets, and she do the action, putting up boundaries, putting up wall, because it's not what she expected the relationship to be. Isn't that interesting? But let me know what you think of the video. It wasn't like I didn't fully go deep dive in this one. It's just a little, flush over, you know what I'm saying?
Fire video, dude. I spent 26 years.
But that's crazy though.